Welcome. Today in the workshop I'm back on the Pioneer SX434. Now this Pioneer, I only bought it the other day and it wasn't working, but I have been right through it and I do think I've fixed the problem. So I did video that, stripping it down and finding the problem and then hopefully fixing the problem. If you're interested in that or you want to know how this Pioneer comes apart, then that video is already on the channel. But today I am going to give this Pioneer a good service and just do all the pots and all the switches with Deoxit. So on this Pioneer, it's not as easy to do the pots as it is on a lot of other amplifiers, because on this one I've got to take some circuit boards out to get to them because they are buried under this board. So that board there I'm putting the end of my brush on, that needs to come out. This board here needs to come out. There's only one screw holding that board in, and then it's on them little plastic clips that you do with long nose pliers. So you've got to take that board out. Then there's screws down there on the heatsink. I shall take them out, and then hopefully once I've disconnected all the bits along the front holding the pots in, that board should lift out. Now it won't come right out, but it should just come out enough so I can get in there with Deoxit, because there is no other way of doing it. Without taking that board out, you just cannot get into them pots. They are buried. So I'm going to have to take the board out. Now there is a couple of different ways that you could do this, but I think the way I'm doing it today is the most straightforward, because you're not really disconnecting anything. There is other ways, but you're taking more apart. So I'm not going to do it that way. You can take the transistors off of the heatsink and do it that way, but they're awkward to get back in properly and there's insulation behind them, and I just prefer not to disturb them. They're all sitting really nicely on that heatsink, so if I can help it I don't really want to disturb them. So that's why I do it this way, and I find this way is easier because you are not disturbing anything. So I just get my spanner, adjust it to size, and then whip the 4 nuts off of these pots at the front. So there's just a little nut on them and a little washer behind them, so you just take them 4 off, and then you'll be able to slide the pots out of that metal frame. So I have done other Pioneer amplifiers, same model as this one, but I have not done one of these 434s before. I've not had one of these 434s before, so I'm quite interested in getting this going, because all these SX amplifiers, if they're working good, they do sound nice. They are good receivers. So I'm interested in getting this one going, because like I said, I've not had this 434 before. I've had some of the bigger ones before in this SX range. I've had some of the bigger ones, and I've also had the SX, the 590, and I've had the 690, the ones that have the UV meters on the front. I really like that 590 and 690. Now I've got the channel, I'll try and get my hands on one of them to do on the channel. I'll try and buy one not working and bring it back to life, because over the years I've bought a lot of amplifiers not working and repaired them, and normally I'll keep them for a month or two and then sell them on, apart from ones that I really liked, and then I might have kept them a couple of years or so, but then I would have sold them on as well. But now I'm doing the channel, I'm going to try and hang on to whatever I get my hands on, like this Pioneer. This Pioneer is in such good condition, I'm going to keep this Pioneer. I'm not going to sell this on. This is lovely, this Pioneer. You won't find another one in the condition of this. So if this works and sounds good, I'm going to keep this Pioneer, because you'd just be hard to find another one in as good condition as this one. And that's what I'm going to try and do on the channel. If I get my hands on something that's really nice condition, I'm going to keep it for the channel. Well, not just the ones in good condition. In the beginning, I'm going to try and keep everything I get my hands on to get a collection of amplifiers and receivers together for the channel. So first of all, I've taken that one screw out on that little board, and then the rest of that board is held in by the little plastic clips. So you just get long nose pliers on them, squeeze them together, and then you feel the board like lift up a little bit where you've squeezed them together. They're a bit fiddly, just be gentle with them because they are only small and they are only plastic. You just need to squeeze them together, and then you lift the board, little wiggle, and it should come off. There you go, that is off. So I'm just moving that board out of the way. I'm not disconnecting any wires or anything like that. All this should move out of the way and allow me to get that board out with the pots on it and just get in there to do the deoxin. So next of all, I'm just going to take the 4 screws out that are holding the heatsink into place. So I shall take these 4 screws out, and then hopefully the board with the pots on will slide out, and then I'll be able to get into the pots. So I'll just take this 3rd one out, and then there's one more on the end, sort of under the board. There's another one just buried. I'm going to have to move the board a little bit to get to it. There's one down in there somewhere. Right, that's it, I'm on it. So I'll whip that one out. See that there? There's one right buried in there. So we take that one out, and then hopefully this lot should start moving. So let's try and get this board out now. Them screws are out. And it is moving, but it feels like something else has got hold of it. Right, and there is still screws in it at the front here. I'll turn it round and take the screws out so you can see what I'm doing. There's a couple of screws on the front that are holding the switches in. So I didn't take them out. And I will, while I'm doing it as well, I'm going to take the screws out of that metal plate so the whole metal plate can move as well, because that bolt felt really tight when I'm lifting it then. So I think if I take out the screws holding this metal plate and the screws holding these switches in, it will come out so much easier, because it is very tight in this 434. So I'll just take that screw there out, and I shall take the other one out on the other side of the switches. Now this board, it won't come out without taking these 2 out, so I should have done it first, but I didn't see they had to come out, but they do. So you need to take them out first. So that's the 2nd one out. Let's take that one out. And then I'm going to try and move the board again, but I do think it might be easier if I release that whole plate. Because I'm going to try it, it might go, no, but it feels really tight. So rather than damage anything, I think it's easier just to take them 3 screws out at the front, and then it release that plate, and it should just give you a load more room for like lifting it out. It's only 3 screws, so let's take them out. I just think it'll be easier because it's really tightly in there, this plate. It really is squeezed in amongst everything. Like I said, I've done this on the bigger ones. You have got a lot more room. On this 434, it is very tight. Everything is crammed in here because it is smaller than the ones I've done before. Oh, and that's better. Yeah, it's worth releasing that plate. It just loosens it all up. You've got so much more room to slide that out now. And there you go. That's gone. It's just very tight because all the wires and that are wrapped around it. So I think it is a good idea to release that plate, and then that came out a lot easier. And it is still a bit fiddly to get that plate out because there is not a lot of slack on these wires. so there is not a lot of room to take that plate out, but there's enough. I'll be able to get in there with Deoxit, no problem. So I'll turn the amplifier over and then deoxin it from the other side so I can get it right down into the pots. Right, let's just take that plate out before it falls out. Right, so you get the plate out and then let's lay it down. I've got some little bits of sponge to lay it on so it's not resting on the board. And by turning it over that way, the little holes on the pots to get the deoxin in there, they're at the top now. So by doing this, you make it much better for the deoxin to soak into the pots. So let's get my can of deoxin and start spraying some in them pots and just wiggle them about. You only need a tiny little squirt. That's all you need, a tiny little squirt in there. And just wiggle the pot around a bit. That's all you need to do, and then do the next one. And what I do it like this, but then in a couple of hours I will come back and wiggle them again, and then later tonight I will wiggle them again, and maybe in the morning I will wiggle them again. I won't put any more deoxin in there. I shall just go round everything and wiggle it about a little bit. And I will leave this amplifier open for like 48 or 72 hours, 2 or 3 days before I put it back together, just to dry it right out. Now I know some people, because I watch YouTube, they will say, oh, just give it an hour or two to dry out and it'll be fine. Now it's up to you if you want to do that, but I have done that before and I had a nice amplifier, a Sansui G5000. I'd done it all with deoxin. I gave it a couple of 3 or 4 hours to dry. I plugged it in, it worked for about 30 seconds and then went dead. And when I opened it up, it had shorted across one of the circuit boards. There had been a little bit of deoxin laying in there that I hadn't seen. It hadn't dried. And when I plugged it in, it done a short circuit across the board, so it killed one of the boards and I had to put a new board in it. So ever since then, I give them at least 2 days, sometimes 3 days to dry out. Then I know that's not going to happen again, because I did kill a Sansui G5000 board just because I plugged it in too early. And it took me really a long time to get hold of one of them boards, and I think it cost me about £80, so I've never done it again. I always leave them a good few days, and since then I've never had a problem. So I'm just squirting deoxin into these switches, and where it's on the top, it'll just go down in between them little lugs on the switches. It'll work its way into there, that deoxin, because where them little bits of metal are sticking up out the switches, there is enough room for deoxin to just make its way down the sides of them. It will get into the switches and do its magic. So I've just wiggled the switches about a bit, do them on and off a few times, and that's all you need to do. Wiggle the pots again, just get the deoxin all working round them nicely. And I might turn this over actually and go again from the other side, because you can get in there the other side as well. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to turn the amp over and give it a little deoxin from the other side as well, just to make sure it is all in there and all them pots are really nice and clean. And you will notice the difference on a vintage amplifier. Like if you've got a vintage amplifier or a receiver, you've got quite an old one, if it's never had anything done to the pots for like 40 or 50 years, if you do them with deoxin, you will notice the difference. It really will crisp all the sound up and all that. It really is good stuff, this deoxin. It's expensive, but it's good. So I'm just going to spray a bit more deoxin into these switches from this side, and then it'll work down from this side and get in there as well. And I'll do the same with the pots. Just give them a tiny little bit more deoxin from this side, and then I know they are done. I've done them from both sides. The deoxin will have worked right in now, and it'll clean everything right up. So I'm just clicking the buttons about a few times again, and I'll get some deoxin and get it into these pots from this side, because there's gaps on this side where the terminals on the pots like come out of the pots. There is little gaps, so I'm getting deoxin down into there, and that'll get right into the pots. And then I've done them both sides. I know these pots will be nice and clean, so I'll just give them pots another wiggle about, and then I should do the input selector. Now the input selector and the on-off are easier to do because they are open. There is no casing around them, so you literally can just spray it on. They're much easier on this Pioneer. So I'll just put a knob back on the input selector so I can easily turn it. And then get some deoxin down in there, spray it right in, and then just wiggle it about. So I'll get right in there with the camera, and then you can see what I mean about the input selector. It's got no casing around it, so you can easily just spray all that and do it. Same with the on-off, but on this Pioneer, I am going to take the on-off out and do it, because I'm going to spray a load of deoxin on the on-off, because someone has had a go at this on-off switch on this Pioneer, and there is all like sticky yellow oil all over it. Now deoxin will clean that off, so I'm going to give this a really good deoxin and clean this on-off right back up, because I do not want all that manky yellow oil over it. I don't even know what it is, so I want to get rid of all that on this on-off. It did look like the on-off was the only place that someone had a go at this with oil. They hadn't done it anywhere else, but they had done the on-off switch. So now that that is out, I'm going to get the deoxin and really put quite a lot in here and try and clean all that manky yellow oil off it, because it's like everywhere, and I had it all over my hands yesterday. It's like sticky. So you really don't want it in your on-off switch. Need to get it all off of there. And deoxin will get it off of there. It'll just dissolve it and get rid of it. So I just spray the load on there. I'll wiggle it about and work it in. Spray some more on it. And I'm just spraying loads in here because I really want to clean this on-off switch. And that is why I took it out. Because if you do it in there like I did the input one, it would all start leaking inside the receiver, and I don't want that. That is why I took it out. I didn't take the other one out because I only gave that a little squirt, but where I'm putting a load on this, I've taken it out, and I've just put a little rag under there so I can proper flush it. And you look at them drips coming off the bottom, they are filthy. So deoxin is doing its magic. Oh, and that feels nicer already. That was stiff, that on-off. That feels lovely now. And I can see, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, I can see it's got rid of that yellow oil. So I'm just going to brush that about, make sure it's all in there. Brush the deoxin right in there and get rid of all that sticky, horrible yellow oil. Because I don't know what it was. If they'd used like 3-in-1 oil or something like that on this on-off switch, that would have been alright, because it would have stayed like oil, or a little bit of car engine oil or something. It would have stayed like oil. But whatever that person had used had gone like sticky and really gummed this on-off switch. So I don't know what it was, whatever they used, but it really wasn't a good oil to put on an amplifier's on-off switch. But it has all gone now. The deoxin has flushed it all away, so that on-off switch should be good now. So while I've got the deoxin all over this brush, I'm just going to use it to clean these fuses and clean the little carriers on that little board there. So I'll just clean the carriers out, bit of deoxin in them, wipe some over the end of the fuses. While there's a load on this brush, might as well use it up. So I normally do this, use the excess off of the pots and that on-off switch. I shall use that to clean up some other bits. So I've done them two fuses, pop them back in. Now these other two fuses were very dirty. I did give them a little clean yesterday with sandpaper, but I'm going to do these ones again. Because yesterday I was only going through this quick, trying to find out what was wrong with it. But now I think I've got it working. I'll give these fuses a bit of a better clean, deoxit them and pop them back in. So there's no point changing these fuses, there is nothing wrong with them. And where these are old fuses, these look like decent old fuses. So you put new ones in, they probably won't be as good as these old ones. These are a really nice pair of old fuses, so I'll whack them back in. There is nothing wrong with them. Just get some more deoxit off of them pots on the brush, and then just do the ends of the fuses, do the carriers, and then pop them back in, and these fuses will be good to go, making a nice connection. So get a bit more on my brush, give the fuses another little go over, do the little carriers, and then pop the fuses back in. So let's pop that one in. Oh, that hasn't seated right, that one. Right, let's take it out and go again. It needs to just move over a little bit. Right, that's it. That one went in nice. So let's pop the second one back in. And then all I've got to do really is the fuses on the back. I'll give the plug a once over. And then I should just give the little inputs on the back and the speaker terminals a little wipe over with some deoxit off of my brush. That's all I'm going to do. So I'll just take my brush, clean the excess off, give the on-off switch a little once over. Yeah, and that feels so much better, that on-off switch, because it was like all gummed up with that yellow oil. And it looks a lot cleaner, that on-off switch. I'm just looking at it now. I'll get the camera and get you in there. We'll have a close-up on it, because you can see how nice and clean that on-off switch has come up. Yesterday, that thing was manky. It was all coated in yellow oil. It was all sticky and horrible. But just look at it now. That has come up really nice. But I'm feeling that there. It still feels a little bit stiff, that on-off. And you know what? I'm looking at that now. We've got the camera in now. Someone has had this apart and they have put it back together wrong. Look at them bars on it. They are not right. Someone has put the shims back in this wrong. So let me get the end of my little brush and I'll show you exactly what I mean. Look at that metal bar there running across. It is sitting at the angle. It is like that. It is leant over to one side. Same as that little plate there. That little plate is leaning. So them shims, there's 3 shims either side. The 2 outside ones are different lengths, and someone has obviously took this apart and muddled them up. Now I think one side of it is too tight. That's why the on-off switch is still feeling a little bit tight. So you know what, I'm going to change them over, because that is not right. You need to. I think the shim that's nearest my screwdriver needs to go at the back, and the slightly longer one needs to go at the front, and then that will loosen the switch up a little bit on the ball as it swivels. It will make it easier to like turn the switch, and it'll line everything up properly so it's not all sitting at the angle, because that's not right like that. Someone has had this apart and put it back together wrong. So that's that first little shim out. Just careful that I don't lose these shims. They are only tiny. So that other one needs to come out, and then that one I'm going to take out now, that needs to go to the front, and then the other one I've already took out needs to go to the back. Right, so that's that one out. Let's put that one in the front here. It's a bit fiddly, this. And I'm trying to do it at a funny angle because the camera's right in now. So I'm sort of to the side of it. where really I could do with my head being where the camera is, but I'm trying to get you lot in now, so it's a bit awkward for me to do it. But that's it, that one in there. Oh, and the one in the middle was dropped out. Where's that gone? Right, here it is. So get the one that goes in the middle. This one's really tiny. Now that one needs to slide in there and get the screw through it again. Right, hold on. I'm just gonna have to loosen it up a little bit more. It's a little bit tight. If I release that side a bit, make it easier, because it'll all open up a little bit. Right, so now open that up a little bit. Let's get that little tiny shim in there. So what someone's done, innit, they've took this apart and had it totally apart, took all the shims out, and then they put it back together without realising that the shims are different sizes. I think they've assumed that there's not a lot in it. They've assumed that all the shims, apart from the middle one, the other four are the same size. So they've just whacked them back in, but they're not the same size. There's not a lot in it, but I think there is just enough that if we had the wrong way round, it's tightening up the front of the switch so much it's making it hard for the little ball to pop in and out as you're twisting the selector. Because this selector, not only does it do the on off, it changes your speakers from A and B as well. So there's more going on here than just an on off switch. So where it's been put back together wrong, when you're doing that selecting, that is still quite stiff. So that is why I'm putting the longer shim at the front, because then it'll give a bit more room for that little ball and spring to move at the front. Hopefully now that is back together, tighten that up, tighten that one back up, and then we'll have a little feel of it, and hopefully this on-off switch will feel where it should feel now, because that was still a little bit tight. And that looks better already now. Look how nice, all them bars are nicely and straight. It's like sorted it right out. Right, and that feels as it should feel. It was a little bit stiff before, that is working properly. So I would say the shims go this way round, because you could do it the other way round, where the shorter shims are at the front, but then it would tighten it up more on that little ball and spring and make it hard to select it. So I would say the way I've put these in now is the correct way, because that feels really nice now. It's working properly. So now the on-off switch is back to how it should be, after someone who really didn't know what they was doing has fiddled about with it and put it back together totally wrong. So now that's sorted, I'll turn the amplifier round and we'll just clean up the little terminals on the back and the last few fuses. So I'll just take this little cap off, because there's a couple of fuses under here. Now they did look really nice and clean under here, but I'll do them anyway. While I'm doing it, just go through all of it. So all I'm doing, wipe a little bit of Deoxit off of the brush onto the fuse, put a tiny bit more Deoxit onto the brush, and then just do the other one. So pop the other one out, pull it out, there you go. Just clean that one with a little bit of Deoxit, and then pop it back in. Do the carriers, give them a little once over, pop that one back in. Let's get the other one and just pop the other one back in. So now they're back in, let's just loosen up all these speaker terminals, and I'll just put a bit of Deoxit on them and then brush it round just to make sure they're nice and clean. But before I do that, I've got one more fuse to do, and it is buried there in that voltage selector. So I'll just unscrew the back of this voltage selector, and there is a little fuse in there. So I'll just clean the ends of that, pop it back in, and then we're more or less done really. Just a little clean up on the speaker terminals, little clean up on the inputs, and then a little clean up on the plug, and then that is it. This old Pioneer will have had a nice service, and then I should just leave it to dry, probably 3 days, and then I shall put it back together. So I'll just screw that fuse back in there nice and tight. And then I should pop the little cap back on the middle ones there. Screw that little cap back on. And then I should get me bit of cloth and just put it under where these speak terminals are. And then just give them a little squirt of Deoxit and brush it round. Just give them a tiny little squirt each. I'll only do the top ones because it'll leak down and do the bottom ones. So all I need to do, just get in there with a little bit of Deoxit and just brush it round. And while I've got some on my brush, I'll just go round all the inputs. Just clean them up a little bit. They do look nice and clean actually, the inputs on this. And them speaker terminals wasn't very dirty. It all looks nice and clean, this Pioneer. So all I do, just brush it round now. Clean the little terminals up. So now they're done, that's all you need to do. Just go around them terminals with the little brush. Now they're done, let's have a little look at the plug. So just take the screw out of the plug, let's open it up. I shall take the little caps off the terminals, pop the fuse out and just give it a little Deoxit and a little clean up. So let's pop the fuse out and then I can clean the carrier. So that's it, take the fuse out, put that to one side. Just loosen the little caps up, take them off. And I'm not going to change this plug because this is a nice old vintage MK plug. So this is a good plug, nice old one. So I'm going to leave this plug on. It only needs a little bit of a clean. There is nothing wrong with this plug. This is a really good quality plug. So take the little caps off, tiny little squirt of Deoxit in both of them. I'll get me brush in there, use the excess of Deoxit on the fuse carrier, on the fuse and on the pins the other side of the plug, and then just put the caps back on and the plug will be good. And I am noticing now, can you see it? I'll show you in a minute on the camera. On this lead, the power lead, it has got wrote on it, Hitachi 1974. So it's a Pioneer amplifier, but this has got an Hitachi lead on it. So that's a bit strange, ain't it? And I don't think the lead's been changed on this. I think this is one that came out of the Pioneer factory when they was having like the copper shortage in Japan. So I think this is like an original short lead amplifier because they sold them with short leads on them because they couldn't get their hands on the copper, so they tried to save copper. I think this amplifier is one of them which makes it quite rare. So I think it's had a short lead put on it, but the lead is an Hitachi lead. If anyone knows if that's right, because this could have had the lead changed at some point. But what are the chances of someone changing the lead and putting a 1974 lead on an amplifier that is 1974? But if any of you out there who've watched this, if you know the answer to that, in like 1974, did Pioneer send out short lead amplifiers with a Hitachi leads on them? Because I think this is an original lead, but I am not sure on that. So if you know the answer to that, please drop me a message and let me know. Because it just seems a bit strange that a Pioneer amplifier has got an Hitachi lead on it. So that's the terminals nice and tight. I'll just pop the cap back on the plug and then this plug is nice and clean and good to go. And that's what I'm saying there, look. Can you read that? Hitachi 1974 on the power lead of a vintage Pioneer receiver. So I'm not sure if that's the correct lead or not. I do think it is, but it might not be. So that's it now. The Pioneer has had a full service. So all I'm going to do now is give that 2 or 3 days to dry out and then I shall put it back together. So rebuilding this old Pioneer 434 will be the next video to go on this channel. So thank you for watching and I shall see you in the next one.